Amy, let me tell you about a magical place that is so exactly designed to be enclosed space, year-round fun for the whole family that I bet you already know what I'm going to say before I even say the name. Let's say it together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Great Wolf Lodge. You got it, Amy.
My kids loved Great Wolf Lodge when we went. You probably already know that it has a huge indoor water park with a wave pool, lazy river, a bunch of massive water slides. But then your pack can hit the other attractions because, wait, there's more.
Great Wolf Lodge has adventure-packed attractions like Magi Quest, a live-action game kids can play throughout the lodge, plus the Northern Lights Arcade. Spent some quality time there, so your kid who loves the lazy river and your kid who loves fantasy games will both have a great time.
Great Wolf Lodge also offers great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. Unpack the car once and you're settled in to have fun. And with 22 lodges across the country, you're always a short drive away from adventure.
We've both had such great times at Great Wolf Lodge, so bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack.
I might just throw the spoon out so you can't use a wooden spoon. What fresh hell?
Laughing in the face of motherhood. I hate to bring up a sore subject, like the omelet pan. With Margaret Abels
and Amy Wilson. Is it Lady Gaga Build-A-Bear Day?
A podcast that solves today's parenting dilemmas
so you don't have to. To me, the dishwasher is a sanitizing. It's not a cleaning.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to What Fresh Hell, Laughing in the Face of Motherhood. This is Amy.
And this is Margaret. And today we are asking, is this battle worth fighting?
Okay.
So many battles, so many hills to die on in this parenting journey, Amy. We need to understand which ones we're going to die on and which ones we're not.
Sometimes I think that I would be sort of stereotypically like the one who cares about everything and you're the one who doesn't care about things. But I think it's more going to be, that we care about different things.
Yeah. And I draw some very, very hard lines in the sand. I also want to talk about when drawing lines in the sand is a huge mistake. I feel like looking back, this is a parenting lesson that I can share with people with a lot of confidence. And so we're just going to dive in about lots of different things that go wrong in parenting and whether or not we should fight them and whether or not they're fightable fundamentally. And I'll start with a good example. The use of the word like by our children. So
I think I say the use of the word like by us.
Well, this is it. I was raised by a large group of people. I probably was the first like generation. That was a vocal, whatever you call it, a vocal tick, a vocal conceit, I don't know, filler word that came into prominence back in the 80s. There was, I guess nowadays it's like emo and goth, but there would be books that were like the preppy handbook. And then the
Valley Girl Speak, which and like the Galleria. Yeah, there was a like in there.
Oh my God, gag me with a spoon. But I think that was part of the definition of like. Was where it came from.
And then it was so useful. Now it's completely just, it's in every sentence I say.
Yeah, and I mean, people in our podcast reviews say, you say like too much. And when I'm editing or re-listening, we both have the word like in our vocabulary. And it is not a choice. It is just a part of the way that we express ourselves because that is where we're from and how we learn to speak. My mother despised the use of the word like. Our family, was it like that or was it that? And I mean, I so remember the adults in my life reflecting back how annoying they found it and how difficult they found it. Then I had a 3-year-old who started speaking and was using the word like in sentences as their native tongue. And I remember thinking, oh right. No, I have to try to stop this. Mm-hmm. But as our beloved friend, Mark Merriman says, this can't be fixed. I certainly heard a lot of negative feedback about the word like, but I was never able to excise it from my vocabulary.
I think it's worth fighting. I was just helping one of my kids write a letter got a jury duty letter. Okay, this kid is old enough to be on jury duty, but is away at college and needed to write a letter to, dear Mr. Jury Duty man, please let me out of jury duty for the next couple of years because I'm not living at home right now. And was going to send a very casual email. I'm like, I think this is a moment where dear so-and-so, sincerely, this person is required. And that is not their native tongue.
Right.
And so that is a battle worth fighting, that when you're talking to somebody who's of a certain age or in a certain formal requests require formal language. And my kids don't fully jive with that.
I like what you're saying. I think in general, the rules for self-expression are worth imparting, meaning formal requests require formal language. There are situations and people that we speak differently to than other people. If you have kids who are on the spectrum or have ADD, sometimes these, whether you call it code switching or figuring out how to address people, is more complicated for some kids. I think this is a very useful thing to impart. I have a kid who we often have the conversation, I wasn't speaking rudely. And I think to this kid, it is hard to hear that saying, I don't want that. I'm just expressing what I do and don't want. Language is a battle worth fighting to the degree that you can control outcomes. I have a couple of friends who are professors now at universities. I mean, it's funny, like we old, like now my friends are the teachers. And one of the things they reflect back a lot is that the students will write, this esteemed medical professor at XY medical school, hey, I missed class today. What did you cover? And they just think, this is the rudest email. Who would write this? I would have never addressed my professor that way. So trends change and things change, but I do think that it's worthwhile to impart to our kids that you are making an impression on people with the language that you use. But I also think it's worth impressing to our kids. There are markers in language to keep people in their place. And that some of the feedback that we get on the podcast, I hate the way you talk. I hate the way you sound. It's just, you don't like to hear women talking. So I think that giving big pictures and feedback about how we address people is worthwhile, but trying to excise the specific word like from people's vocabulary, this can't be fixed. Let's talk about keeping the house clean. And this has many subcategories.
Let's make that simpler, as the lazy genius said when we interviewed her. Let's make that goal a little simpler.
Yeah.
And the house is clean.
Well, I think we can break down a lot of versions of it. Is it important for the kids to put everything back where it was in the playroom when they're finished playing?
I was always a back to one playroom once every week to 10 days. Like there's times when just everything goes in a basket, and then there's times when the Marvel guys go in this basket and the horses go in that basket, because I did think that led to calmer, longer stretches of play when they could find their stuff. But I didn't do that every day.
Yeah. I think in an ideal world, I would love it to be, okay, playtime is half an hour and we leave 5 minutes at the end to put everything back in kind of preschool classroom style. But what you realize pretty quickly is you're not really supervising. The house where my kids were little in Los Angeles, there was a playroom and they spent a lot of time in there by themselves, which is by design what I wanted. Like, you guys can be playing in the playroom. And we had all the bins of the trains and the Marvel guys and the, magnetic tiles and whatever other categories there were. And I would say we would go a week at a time with just sheer chaos in that room. And I understood on some fundamental level, and studies will show this, that when kids walk in and the playroom is just completely destroyed, they're less likely to find stuff to do. Like when everything's in its category, it's like, okay, I can bring some of this out and some of this out. But I think also this is kind of a time of life thing where the playroom always looks just like a disaster area. That won't last that long. I mean, I remember being in those days and thinking my whole life is stepping on Legos and having a Marvel guy in my bed that, what is he doing here? But it doesn't last that long. I don't know that you need specific.
It depends, because we lived in an apartment when my kids were little and there were toys everywhere. And I had given up. I definitely thought it was not a battle worth fighting, that my home should in any way appear like kids didn't live there, especially because it was an apartment.
I always marvel at that. When I lived in LA, some of the people we knew had this kind of Architectural Digest type homes, like white, clean, like hotel roomy refrigerator places. And I would just walk in and think,
yes, I think there should be toys and toys should be out. But then, of course, when the kids went to bed, it was a matter of like having a place to walk. And so it turned into every night after the kids went to bed, I was cleaning stuff up. But I think it's totally fine to have different standards for what cleanup means, right? As in like shoved into piles most of the time. And then once in a while, a big reset. That got me through, rather than it can't look like kids live here. I don't think that's a battle worth fighting.
Yeah. And I did have the kind of playroom division. Our playroom didn't have a door. It was like the dining room opened into the playroom. But I definitely had kind of a different standard for the playroom than the rest of the house. So the playroom could be at a level of disaster that the rest of the house wouldn't be at. Which leads me to my next question. And I think this is interesting as our kids get older. Should you make your children keep their rooms clean to the household standards or to their standards?
I'm going to say their standards, as difficult as that is, within reasons of like sanitary safety. If it's safe and it's sanitary, which sometimes they walk a line, then you have to let it go.
You were saying on a recent episode, a reasonable person would describe this as clean. I feel like...
Oh, that was, I think it was an Eve Rodsky, like a reasonable standard of care.
Exactly.
You have to blow past reasonable standards to, are you going to catch something by sleeping in there?
And it's also funny because your kids will have such different set points. 3 kids. I have a kid who likes everything just so, in order. I am absolutely a messy person. Can't walk in my room for the stuff. I am messy. And my husband is, I've finally discovered after however many years of marriage, he is waterline. He's messy when he's with me and clean when he's with clean people.
I didn't know there were people like that. That's a good way to be, I guess, right? Just go with it.
Yeah. I think if I was very neat and was like, oh, it needs to be perfect, he would put everything away. But he's kind of floats at the level of the person.
Bob's next to your mess. Yeah.
And then I have the 3 bears. I have clean, medium, and messy are my 3 kids.
My kids are messy, super neat. And then I'll say I have a child who wants everything to be very neat, but that's going to take so long that everything has to stay out until that rainy Saturday when you can spend 4 hours cleaning up. So it's very messy. It's not dirty, but there's stuff everywhere because this person's standards for cleanliness are actually so high. So riddle me that. It's messy.
I think that the way to handle this battle is firm guidelines. So for us, and believe me, they don't work. We fight about it all the time. We don't allow food in the rooms because it's disgusting.
Because there you go. That's bugs, right?
Yeah. And like definitely there is one person in our household who is constantly caught with food in their room. I used to say on the podcast, no food out of the kitchen, which was a big rule for me when my kids were little. I have completely lost that and am now finding half-eaten pints of ice cream in where the kids do their computer and stuff. It's disgusting. But I think having overall guidelines of things like no food in the rooms. The rooms have to be clean before friends come over or whatever that parameter is, or every Saturday is clean your room day, just so that you have a kind of place to return to so that you set up your back to one rather than having the everyday fight of your room is a mess, your room is a mess. And I think as kids get older, handing some of the responsibility to them. My kids do their own laundry. They're 12, 13, 15. They do their own laundry, but I don't check to see that it's folded. Like if they just throw their t-shirts in the drawers, that's on them. I don't care. They make their beds, but it's not hospital corners, figuring out where your overall parameters are and then having the discussion once so you don't have to have it every day will save a lot of your sanity.
I like that. Okay, we'll be back with even more battles that may or may not be worth fighting. Hellions, it's time for some spring cleaning, and I don't just mean the coat closets. Doing your financial spring cleaning can actually be super easy when you let Monarch do your financial spring cleaning for you. One dashboard that gets your entire financial life organized. No more clutter, no more mess, no more logins scattered everywhere, just accounts, investments, property, and more, all in one place. Get your first year of Monarch for half off, just $50 with promo code FRESH. Monarch allows you to look not only at what you've already spent, but also to plan for the future. With Monarch, you can set savings goals, plan for big purchases, and notice spending trends before they become a problem. I can generate cash flow reports that show me what we spent this quarter, this month, what we're probably going to spend next month, and feel prepared, organized, and knowing how to plan for the future. No more surprises and a lot more clarity. Try Monarch. Use code FRESH at monarch.com to get your first year half off at just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code FRESH. All my kids learned to swim when they were little. It was super important to me that they be confident and safe in the water. There was only one problem with that: taking them to swim lessons. I mean, the pools were freezing. There were always cranky adults doing laps right there. And it was definitely not, for any of us, what you would call fun.
Amy, heard. But now there's Goldfish Swim School. Goldfish takes a really thoughtful approach to swim lessons, combining research-based teaching with a warm, kid-friendly environment that actually helps kids thrive in the water.
Every detail at Goldfish is thoughtfully designed to create a golden experience, from shiver-free, warm indoor pools to comfy waiting areas for parents to professionally trained lifeguards on deck.
Goldfish uses an approach called the science of swim play, which combines guided play with proven teaching techniques to help kids learn to swim, build water safety skills, and gain confidence, all at their own pace. Lessons are designed to meet kids exactly where they're at.
If you've been thinking about swim lessons or just wondering where to start, this is a great opportunity. Right now, Goldfish Swim School is offering a waived membership plus your child's first lesson free at participating locations.
Just visit goldfishswimschool.com/free to find a location near you and enroll using promo code FREE.
That's goldfishswimschool.com/free, promo code FREE. My favorite skincare products actually feel more like self-care, like they're so nice to put on and they smell so good that I'm actually happy when I get to that part of my day. And I swear that is how I feel about Osea's anti-aging body balm.
Amy, you are usually the lotions and potions queen on this podcast, but I have to say, hard agree.
Osea's anti-aging body balm is a liquid silk body balm that combines the lasting hydration of a lotion with the firming power of a serum, leaving skin smoother and firmer.
This body balm is clinically tested and designed to deliver visible results you can see and feel.
So we've gotten to use this product for a couple of months now, and I swear I have really noticed firmer and smoother skin, like on the back of my hands. It's like getting a mini spa treatment from head to toe.
Get a spring-worthy glow with clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now, we have a special discount just for our listeners.
Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code FRESH at OseaMalibu.com.
That's 10% off your first order with code FRESH at OSEAMalibu.com. Amy, I hate to bring up a sore subject like the omelet pan, but we know that your husband has an omelet pan that he leaves.
I just cleaned it this morning.
I have heard you often claim on this podcast that you do not clean the omelet pan, that you just leave it for him to clean later, but you gave in.
Well, you know what? That's true. And I did. But the omelet pan was left for me by somebody who had left town. So it was going to stay like that till I came back.
He raised the game.
So I was going to look at it. Yeah. And I will say my spouse has really risen to the occasion in numerous other ways recently. So I'm like, okay, I'll wash your omelet pan. Little act of service. Don't mind at all. But I am like, ugh.
You're learning and growing, Amy. You're learning and growing. God bless.
Tell you what's getting, it's even worse, is the wooden spoon to stir the oatmeal. We've had multiple discussions, like a wooden spoon that has soggy oatmeal on it.
And then it's basically glue. It's Elmer's glue. Yeah.
It's just a gluey spoon. You cannot clean it. We've had multiple conversations. I'm fighting that battle. I'm not sure it's worth it. I might just throw the spoon out so you can't use a wooden spoon.
It might be time.
Right? That's what I might need to do. Just make it an impossible choice to make. No wooden spoon for the oatmeal.
This is a battle that I'm fighting right now. As my kids are getting older, I will helpfully put my unscraped dish next to the sink. And this is where you will often find me screaming, the cleaning fairies have quit. There is no cleaning fairy coming to scrape this dish, rinse this dish, and put it in the dishwasher. Mm-hmm. It's you. I will say my spouse is the dish doer in our household. I hate dishes. It is the one task.
They skeeve you.
They skeeve me so badly.
And you also want clean dishes. Speaking of things that people might like think was me instead of you want dishes to be already like 85% clean when they go in the dishwasher.
92% clean.
92% clean, right? And I'm like, good enough. Get in there.
I just find it's also possibly a factor of our old dishwasher that like it doesn't.
Well, that's right.
I don't like to, when I unload the dishwasher and the dishes smell bad, I'm like, to me, the dishwasher is a sanitizing. It's not a cleaning.
It's a sanitizing process, yes. Final process, like at the end of the car wash where that mist goes over. That's what it is.
It's the last step, people.
Okay.
But I think this battle is worth fighting, and I think this battle is worth explaining. And I'm going to tell you what I mean. I found that with my spouse, and I'm not saying this is a solution that works, but I think it is important to say when I get up in the morning and there's your dirty socks next to the hamper and the kids have all left stuff, it feels disrespectful to me. It feels like you all see me as the cleaning lady who's got nothing better to do than clean up after all of you. And it feels like you might as well like walk by and put your dirty socks on my head and walk off to your day because it feels very bad to me. And I think that as your kids get older, having conversations, I don't think this is a useful conversation to have with a 4, 5, 6-year-old, but I think to say, actually, everybody takes care of their own dish in this house. And that's a practice that we start. Then as kids get older, it's like when you leave your stuff everywhere for me to clean up, how do you think that makes me feel? I think this can be fixed. And that's why it is a battle worth fighting.
Yeah. And you're going to have to, because the mess can be less visible to some other people, especially if you have cleaned up after them at least half the time in the past. But I think it is a battle worth fighting. I agree.
That brings me to a point that I think is very important. You can start this anytime. As my kids grew up, I was like, I missed the boat. My kids are picky eaters because I blew it. I didn't do a good job instilling the rainbow every night on the plate. And now I have picky eaters and that is my destiny. My kids don't help around the house as much as they should. And I feel bad about that. You can start this anytime. And you have to restart it 100 times. There's no cleaning fairies. I need you to pitch in. And everyone's like, oh, we see your point, Mom. And they help for a week. And then it goes right back to the way it is. This is a boulder you will be rolling uphill your whole life.
That's the whole point of back to one, which if somebody listening doesn't know what we're talking about, they say that on movie sets or TV sets when you have to do a scene over again. And there's no anger or resentment about it. You're going to have to do the scene 18 times. So for some reason you stop because something went wrong and they say back to one and everybody puts everything back the way it was and you start again. It's a reset that's expected to happen over and over again. So this is a back to one.
Yeah, that's right. It's not the Sisyphean boulder. It's like, okay, here we go back to one.
Right.
Let's talk about children in the bed, Amy.
I did it when they were like 1 and getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning and then 5 o'clock in the morning and trying to eke out some extra sleep. But, then you have other problems.
I had a very hard line about no children in the bed, and I really never had kids coming down and getting into bed with us. Let me tell you one thing that really helps with this. Having a full or a queen bed. We slept in a full bed when we were in LA, and now we have a queen bed. And there's really not that much room. In fact, one of my pretty grown kids just a couple of years ago came down with maybe a fever. And I was like, you can jump in bed with us. And they were in bed for like 2 minutes. This is very uncomfortable. I'm getting out. Co-sleeping is kind of different because it's like a system. It's a plan. You're trying to do co-sleeping. I'm talking a little bit more about kids in the bed when you don't want them there. My sister-in-law's mom's a pediatrician, and she said to me when I had young kids, it's 50% what you need, 50% what they need. So the example of like breastfeeding. Go for it. But if it's meaning that you're only getting 1 hour of sleep a night, you should have someone else formula feed them for the overnight bottle. You have to take your own needs into account when you have these kind of decision-making trees. And I think with children getting in bed during the night, it is a huge example of you should pretty much do what works for you. I am a sleeper. Amy knows this about me. Everyone knows this about me. I've always had trouble with sleep. I'm very paranoid about getting enough sleep. The thing I was most frightened about having kids was lack of sleep. I set up as much as I could around getting as much sleep as possible. And that meant I didn't want kids in my room.
Well, just to speak for the people who do have kids who sleep in their bed and it's not intentional, it's a creep. It came from, in my case, a kid who wasn't getting enough sleep. And again, like my kid getting enough sleep was also very important to me because my very cranky toddler was affecting my day. And if I could get her to come back to bed with me, she'd get another hour and a half of sleep, and therefore so would I. But then it becomes an every morning, oh no, I just was talking to one of my friends about this, just talking about, well, one or other, or sometimes both of our kids are in our bed every morning at 5:15. And my spouse afterwards was like, did we do that? Did we ever do that? I'm like, yeah, for a little while. And then, then you revisit it and you work your way out of it as carefully and, well, I was going to say as carefully and intentionally. You get into it unintentionally, and it takes a lot of intention to get out of it, but it can be done.
Yeah, I think you can probably get out of it. I think in general, situations like that, where if somebody shows up at 5 o'clock and they could jump in bed with you and you could both get another 2 hours of sleep, no harm, no foul. I think if it's keeping everybody awake, I think you just really have to make an individual call on this one. I was really on the firm side of this for my own reasons, but I think that generally it's path of least resistance that works for the most people, I would say, is the battle worth fighting on this one.
What about pets in the bed?
100% no. Absolutely no.
100% no. That's right. That's a battle worth fighting. No pet in my bed. My kids' beds, I don't care. And our dog goes in all of their beds, but not my bed. She knows. She still looks at me from the floor like, really wish I could get up there. But mom says no. She does have that pretty clear in her head.
I'm not a pet person. Period. I'm not an animal person, which I think is probably like the number one sign of being a psychopath. But I'm sorry, I don't like animals.
You have a cat that's very indifferent to you. So that's good. Like that's an indifferent cat is fine.
Yeah. A stray cat came into my house when we lived in LA, and night one, I felt bad for it. It was like cold outside and this little beautiful cat looked sad. Maybe I'm not a psychopath because although I dislike animals intensely, the idea of a animal being in distress, I wouldn't sleep all night. So I got her in, made her a little bed. Like I do want animals to be happy. And so at night one, she killed a rat in our house. We were having a rat problem. And I was like, you're hired, babe.
Did you know you had a rat problem, or did she?
Oh, yes. I knew I had a rat problem, but I wasn't thinking about it when I let this, sad little street cat in. And this pathetic looking little street cat, boom, killed a rat night one. And I was like, girl, you're hired. And so she's been with us ever since. And then we got her a friend, which, I was convinced to do by my son who knows how to push my buttons. They're not friends. They hate each other.
Right.
They're not friends. They're not sisters. They just are two cats who despise each other. So now we have double the number of cats. The cats know not to get near me. They know I don't like them. They don't bother me. But occasionally one of the cats comes and sleeps on my husband's legs after he's asleep at night. And that doesn't bother me. A small cat like sleeping on my husband's side of the bed, I'll ignore it. I'll allow it. But if the cat walks over me at night, it knows it's getting flung off the bed. Like I don't ever touch me, cat. They understand that. We have like a peaceful alliance of enemies.
I like that.
Yeah.
You understand each other.
You and me, cat, we understand each other. Don't come near me. Don't walk on me.
Okay, let's take a break. We'll be back with even more battles that may or may not be worth fighting.
Amy, when I'm having a good hair day, it usually makes my whole day better. And that's why on every day, I'm taking Nutrafol.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand. And it's the #1 hair growth supplement brand personally used by dermatologists. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested.
Nutrafol offers multiple formulas for men and women tailored to different life stages and lifestyle factors, so you get support that's actually right for you. Adding Nutrafol to your daily routine is easy. Order online, no prescription needed, with automated deliveries and free shipping to keep you on track.
Let your hair be one less thing to worry about. See visibly thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LAUGHING.
That's Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code LAUGHING.
You know that thing where you get an amazing pair of shoes at a really great price and want to tell everyone about it? Yeah, so do we. Here at Designer Shoe Warehouse, we'll give you something to brag about, like the latest styles from brands you love, or the trends everyone's obsessing over, or shoes that make you feel like, well, you. So go ahead, show off a little. Find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today. DSW, let us surprise you.
Soon, to a theater near you, an epic tale
How was school today, honey?
of an epic battle.
It was like so fun.
What did you say?
In a world where useless placeholder words have taken over her daughter's vocabulary,
It was like so fun.
one mother stands against the tide and fights.
Sweetie, it wasn't like so fun, it was so fun.
A system of language hangs in the balance.
And I was like, you go over there. But she was like, no, you come over here. And so I was like, okay, fine, I'll come over there.
No!
Can one mom fight the battle, or will she succumb to the realization that she is patient zero in the very epidemic she is trying to forestall?
And I was like, you have to stop saying that. And she was like, I can't.
From the studio that brought you, you can't wear that princess gown to church, and no baseball hats at the table, comes Stop Saying Like. A film, a truth, a battle that is probably not worth fighting.
We should like totally go see that.
Rated PGI, for you will probably go insane if you keep fighting this battle. Let it go already.
A really good one. I saw it on Instagram just this week. And this is a whole category. It was a reel of a little boy who was sleeping on his bedroom floor, like in a cardboard box. He made himself a little nest with a sleeping bag and pillow and blankets and everything, with his head sticking inside some big like refrigerator box kind of thing. His mom posted it and said he wanted to sleep in a cardboard box on the floor. The no was in my, my lips were forming the N of the no. And then I just was like, why not? Why not let this kid do this? And so he's been sleeping on the floor for 3 days. And if there has ever been anything that brought more joy to this child, I don't know what it is. And just sometimes, like, just don't say no without thinking. Think about it and then say, like, you know what? Yeah, you can sleep in a box on the floor.
At some point, we'll have to compile like the golden rules of parenting according to the What Fresh Hell podcast, because this has to be in my top 5. Watch your no. And I think, I'm going to be gendered for a moment. I think that my husband struggles with this much more than I do. That he gets a little bit, especially when the kids were little, he had this strange, not strange, maybe he has a little bit of an authoritarian streak. Cut that out. Stop that. No. And it's funny because he's very mild-mannered. He's quite like even-tempered. But I remember saying to him so often when the kids were young, why is that a no? Why can't they climb that tree? Or why can't they bring Legos in the bathtub? It's plastic. Why can't they bring their Marvel Man in the bathtub with them? Nobody's getting hurt by that. And if he stays in the bathtub an extra 20 minutes while I sit on the toilet and look at my phone, that's good time for me.
Right. Right. That's everybody happy. We talked about that during the pandemic, that you say yes to some silly things you wouldn't, normally do because what the heck, we're all home all the time and we need joy where we can find it. But then, yes, why can't we do that all the time? Yes, your kid can sleep on the floor for a couple of days. If they're not getting enough sleep, all right, whatever, then you tried it and then you're doing something else. But it really stuck with me that probably would be something that I'm going to say, like, no, we can't do that. We have to sleep in our beds. And I would have just sort of smoothly moved past it. But why? Who cares? Who cares if they're holding the thing wrong, right? Who cares if they're, putting on 2 pairs of pants? Who cares?
Well, it goes very well with your never interrupt a happy child, right? And that it's so funny because where you see this the most is family gatherings and like too many family around. And there's a 3-year-old who's just having the salt and pepper shaker talk to each other at the table quietly. And then someone comes over and is like, oh, Billy, I have a crayon for you. And suddenly it's chaos with the 3-year-old. A child in play should stay in play. The idea that well, they're using sidewalk chalk on the deck instead of the sidewalk. Just take that moment to say, okay, if the sidewalk chalk is going to ruin your $5,000 paint job, then you have to then it's a no. But if it's sidewalk chalk on our metal patio chairs and I could in 2 seconds wipe it off with a hose, why is that against the rules? And maybe there are good reasons that it's against the rules, that you don't want them to learn to draw on furniture. Maybe there's a real reason for it. But I think we all sometimes have that instinct because we spend so much time with toddlers saying like, no, don't lick the electrical. No, don't ride the dog. No, don't pull your pants off in church. We're always saying no, that sometimes no becomes such a strong default that we end up fighting battles that we don't need to be fighting.
Sometimes the mess can be worth it. Years ago, somebody told me that her child, we were friends, our kids were the same age, and her child was in childcare. And I had my baby at home with me all the time. And she told me that after mealtime, they let her baby kind of stay in the high chair. And then they gave him one day SpaghettiOs to play with. Like, here's just a bowl of SpaghettiOs, and got them all over his face, all over, like played with them in this high chair, used his little hands to pick them up, whatever, for like 45 minutes. And she said, I loved that. And then then you have to clean him up. You have to clean up the high chair, but they're happy to do it because he got to play with SpaghettiOs and had a great day. And I thought, God, I'd never hand my kid a bowl of SpaghettiOs to make a huge mess with and be so happy. But I should consider it.
There's a famous picture of a little kid with like a plate of spaghetti, like a bowl of spaghetti upside down on their heads with like spaghetti all over them. It's like
right. The worst thing that could happen to a mom. Yeah. But it's not necessarily. I mean, it's fixable. Then you put them in the bathtub.
I'm going to say I got to push back. That particularly is my nightmare, what you just described. Like a child covered in food. I want to just absolutely melt hearing that. But I think the idea is right. And that children learn through tactile, sensations. That's how they figure stuff out. It's funny. I'm a messy person, but I'm super grossed out by food mess. Like, it's my kryptonite. And so that would never work for me, but it might work for me to sit with my 3 kids on the front stoop and give them buckets of water and, toys and figure out like which ones float and sink and just let them play in buckets of water for an hour. So yeah, mess and figuring out mess I think it's complicated. I think it's very triggering for some people, really. Like seeing kids make a mess, you just feel like, oh no, that's bad. I know inherently that's bad.
Or you see, this is work for me, which it is, but you just got 25 minutes while he played with how about the non-toxic finger paint? That's actually, they could put it in their mouths. How about that? Would that be okay with you?
I do struggle with mess. Not an appealing idea to me, what you're saying. I feel my shoulders coming up on my ears.
Just notice that, Margaret. Just notice that for yourself.
I notice it. And I was never great with mess in terms of that. But I think in general, figuring out why I'm saying no and whether it's really like on the scales, are they balancing?
Yeah. Love it.
Let's talk about something that is vexing me currently. Is the battle worth fighting what my children wear?
This is again like when you said code switching before, I thought that's exactly what I need them to understand. Like, we are going to, your great aunt's funeral. And yeah, you got to wear a button. Yes, you do. You wear a button down because that's how you show respect.
The Hello Kitty pajama bottoms are not going to work.
Right. And help them understand, like, yes, you are entering another culture which is, your great aunt's family, where out of respect, you do wear a button down shirt, to help them understand those things in that way. But I don't care if they wear the Hello Kitty shorts to Target.
Right now, it is extremely in fashion for children to wear pajamas, pants, where I live all the time.
Pajama pants as pants, in other words.
Pajama pants as pants. So the look is
very college dorm, rolling around campus look, I think.
Yeah, like plaid pajama pants that maybe say something in white block letters down the side. And then a giant hoodie for boys and girls. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I spent 2 years going to pick up and saying, oh, was it pajama day today? Every day. before my kids sat me down and said, people just wear pajama bottoms. I don't see a lot of pajama tops. I find it annoying. I just feel like, what is it? Why does it bother me? I think it's kind of disrespectful to school. I don't know why. And I have lost this fight. I have stopped fighting it. I have 2 kids who regularly wear pajama bottoms to school, and I find it annoying to me personally. When one of my children was little, they had a very strong sense of what they wanted to wear every day. I'm talking 5 and 6. And these outfits were, the only word I can think of is deranged, Amy. They were insane, like a furry jacket with tights and like shorts. I mean, it truly looked like, I want you to go pick the 5 randomest items you can find and put them on simultaneously every single day.
Yes. I read this description just yesterday. It's Lady Gaga at the Build-A-Bear workshop. That's the outfit.
That's amazing. That's it.
I can see it.
Nailed it. Nailed it, as the kids say. And what I finally did was I stopped the kindergarten teacher one day at pickup and I said, I just want you to understand that this child picks their own outfits and I get no say in it, because I think why we struggle with it is we feel that it is a reflection of us and our parenting. Who would send their child to kindergarten in this outfit? Lady Gaga at Build-A-Bear workshop.
Right.
She didn't care at all.
Is it Lady Gaga at Build-A-Bear Day? She
definitely was like, oh, I love it. It's fun. It's funny. And I mean, people often say to me like, oh, your child is such an individual, And yeah, that's good. And then I'm getting positive feedback for it. But I feel like my sense of myself in the world as my children either go to school dressed like Lady Gaga from the Build-A-Bear workshop or go to school like, doesn't their mother make them get dressed in the morning? They're just wearing pajamas. I find that a challenge, but I have decided that it is not a battle worth fighting. And
as they get older, this also turns into like, you kind of need to shave. Your hair isn't so clean. Your hair is way too long. Boys with like the broccoli cut now with all like the stuff in front. Like, could you maybe get that out of your eyes for church or not? That's another battle that's maybe sometimes worth fighting and probably sometimes not.
Yeah. I think that my mother and I struggle with this terribly. And I find it now with my daughter that your perception and their perception is so different. At some point, my daughter had an outfit on that I thought was extremely inappropriate for, I believe, the calendar, what do you call it? The Christmas card photo. And I said, could you maybe just adjust it for one shot so that it was an off the shoulder look, pulled to reveal the shoulder. And I thought, could you just maybe just put it back like a regular collar for one moment? To which my child responded, that would look ridiculous. The idea that to wear this shirt the way it was designed with the collar at the collar.
On both shoulders?
Yeah. That you wouldn't pull the collar to the side and down your arm to reveal your bra strap. If you didn't do that, you would look ridiculous.
Right.
And it really drove home for me, oh, we don't see this in the same way. And that I think the problem that we get into is the way you are dressing looks absurd. But the child is thinking your version of this outfit is what's absurd. And that we get in a fight to try to get them to see it our way. And you said this a long time ago on the podcast, Amy, and I recently found it. And I was like, this might be another one of our golden rules. As long as the clothes don't get in the way of the function, it's fine. And I think we can also add or the social norms, the function or the social norms of the situation, then the clothing is fine. So you can't wear your tap shoes to school when you have gym class, like you have actually the wrong clothing for the function.
Right. Or like a teeny tiny mini skirt to the funeral home. Again, it's just like, this is not right. It's a social norm.
That's a social norm. That is, what were we just saying? Like the majority of people.
The reasonable standard of funeral home attire.
The reasonable standard of funeral attire is not your crop top that says, smash it or whatever on it. Like that's outside of the reasonable norm of this situation. And, I think that covers so much. And it also covers like the boys who want to wear shorts when it's 13 degrees outside. So if we're going to a farm where we're going to be there for 5 hours and it's 13 degrees outside, I don't want you wearing shorts because you're actually not going to make it through it. But if you want to wear shorts from the car to the school and back and you can handle that, I guess I don't have a fight with you. I think it's clothes don't get in the way of the function and don't go so far outside the social norm of a situation, the reasonable standard that you can get away with.
This is so good. I think we should do another one. I think we need more battles that are and aren't worth fighting. You think we can come up some more?
We're getting into so many part twos.
It's all part twos.
I agree with you. This deserves
these are just
one.
good topics.
It's going to be the sequels are going to be just as good as the original. That's what I'm saying.
So go to our Facebook page or our Facebook group at What Fresh Hell Cast and tell us, what do you think the battles are that are worth fighting or not worth fighting? You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter. You can write to info@whatfreshhellpodcast.com. There's so many ways to get in touch with us and let us know battles worth fighting or other things you want to talk about on upcoming episodes.
One battle that is definitely worth fighting is getting you all to come to see us on tour. We will be in Washington Wednesday, October 9th. We will be in New York City on October 13th. Come on out and see us. We had to cancel a couple of the shows on our tour due to unforeseen circumstances, but we are back and we are going to be in DC on the 9th and New York on the 13th. Those shows are locked in. Please get your tickets. Come out and see us. You can find the links to that at our website, whatfreshhellpodcast.com. And with that, we will talk to you next time.
So long.